LeVar Burton talks about his possible return to the Star Trek franchise, and we get a brand new teaser poster for the Picard show. Let's pour it up! Woo! Alright, well, sorry it's been a little while since I've uploaded. The wife and I were out doing our honeymoon thing down in the Caribbean, so I apologize if I'm kind of two-toned tan here because I don't know how to do it correctly, but I obviously missed the big poster reveal that everyone and their mother has gone through. We'll get to that here at the end, but I first want to talk a little bit about the LeVar Burton story that came out over the weekend. Okay, so during an interview during one of his press junkets, LeVar Burton for, the new Lion King movie that came out, LeVar said that he was fully expecting to return to the Star Trek franchise and possibly even expected to see that the majority of the TNG main cast was going to return to the Star Trek franchise. He had this to say when asked directly. Each of us, I would say certainly, right? It is unreasonable to assume that he doesn't know these people anymore or that he stopped talking to them. And if he did, there's going to be a good storytelling reason as to why. But while the actor speculated that Geordi, Data, Worf, Riker, Troy, and the Crushers would likely appear one or two at a time, he was cautious about expecting a full-blown cast reunion occur on the new series. So this is an interesting way to say that. It's interesting that we are coming off of the heels again of the Brent Spiner pulled article saying that he was going to be returning. Then we had just a few weeks ago Marina Sirtis talking about how she just had to sign a bunch of NDAs and refused to really directly answer the question if he was going to be on the show. We know Jonathan Frakes was on set both being creatively involved and doing some filming and supposedly in front of the camera as well. And now LeVar Burton is sitting there saying, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'll be back, but don't expect it to be all of us together at one time. So to me, when you add all of these different little news bits together, I think it's reasonable to speculate that all, if not most, of the returning cast members are going to be somewhere within inside of the show. And I think it was interesting that he specified saying that there was not going to be a large reunion, but they may appear onesie-twosies. And I feel like he would say that because that's probably how they all filmed it. And since they're all friends, he's probably aware of how the other people filmed their roles and how he filmed his part. But this is a little risky, and I am kind of worried, not necessarily because I think that these characters are going to take away from the new characters they're doing or that the premise of the Picard show. I don't think that. My concern is that they're going to bring back some of these cast members just to kill them off in the franchise, like totally. And that is going to further divide the fan base and further cause outrage within the Trek community. If it's a good narrative storyline, I'm on board for it, but if they're bringing back Troy and Riker for a 5-second cameo just so that they can kill them off and have the Titan explode, no, I'm not interested in that because you didn't have to do it that way. You could have just done something else. It could have just been a totally different reason for them to be in the show, and they don't have to die. Now, do I think that it's possible that Beverly Crusher will die? I think so. She's really the only one that we haven't heard from. Michael Dorn has obviously been still very heavily involved with the Trek community. I think he's the one that's the most difficult to get back into the show because then they'd have to sit there and say, do we want him to look like he did before or do we want to put him inside of the Discovery Klingon makeup, which I don't know if they want to go down that road because that will really pull people's focus away from what's happening in the show and just people are going to focus on the Worf situation. So I feel like that's a little bit more tricky, but we haven't heard too much about Beverly Crusher's return. Gates McFadden. I haven't heard anything. I did some research a little bit to try to see if there was any kind of news bits about it, to see if anyone had spotted her on set, or if she's been posting on social media that she was around that area. I haven't been able to find anything that really kind of lends any credence to it at this point. But she's obviously the one that people are the most interested in because in a lot of different beta canon novels, comics, video games, and also, just the alternate timelines from the future that we saw in Star Trek TNG, Picard and Beverly usually wind up together. They usually also wind up divorced or with a kid, but they usually do wind up together at some point. And it's interesting to see if they decide not to do that because they weren't able to get Gates McFadden back, or if they're going to just have her be dead. And maybe that's one of the reasons why he left Starfleet. Maybe she died during the explosion, during the evacuation of Romulus or something. That would be, that would be kind of risky because you're bringing back a character just to kill them. But of all the characters to kill, I think that she would be one of the more logical ones because that would be Picard's love interest, and him living alone with his new dog, I feel like that might be the case. But talking about that, let's go ahead and jump into the new Picard poster. Now, I thought this poster was really cool. It shows the vineyard off. It definitely has an interesting look where it looks like the moon is almost crashing into La Barre, France, but I don't think that's intended to be the moon being so close to Earth. I think that the intent there is that it's trying to show something visually about the story, perhaps the supernova, perhaps it's talking about a planet that we're going to be using to maybe use to find for Romulus refugees. Maybe that's going to be part of the whole thing where they have to find a new home for the Romulan refugees. I don't know, but I don't think it's intended to be an oversized moon, or that the people who made the poster don't know how big the moon is in relations to the Earth and how close it should be. I think that they're visually trying to show us something that we're not quite sure about yet because we don't really know too much about the story details. I also think the outfit that Picard is wearing is great, and I hope it's something that he continues to wear throughout the show, because it's a very swashbuckler, rugged kind of like archaeologist outfit, like he is going to get into like a couple of brawls or something like that, or maybe go on some kind of whirlwind adventure. It's like a futuristic, I don't know, Indiana Jones outfit in some regard, with also a mixture of the Firefly elements there. I think it looks really cool, or he could totally change his outfit later on. I don't know. We've seen him in several different outfits in different promos. We saw him in the suit jacket with the tie during the teaser trailer. We've seen him out there in the vineyard with just the pants on, kind of similar to what he has in the poster. And we've also seen him with a turtleneck and the sport coat on from the, I guess you could say, the spotlight reel that they had, the sizzle reel over there at the CBS All Access convention. So there's a couple of different outfits he's obviously going to be wearing. So I don't know if this is going to be his like standard look throughout the show with the jacket, but I think it's cool and I'm totally down for it. Now let's talk a little bit about the dog. Now, I have no problems with the dog, and I think it's very clear that the dog is going to be directly related to the fact that Patrick Stewart and his wife, they typically foster pit bulls. They do this quite often. Obviously, they did this a few years ago with the ever-popular Ginger that went off and found their forever home. So it makes sense that he would probably want to incorporate that into his character. He understands the love of a dog now, and maybe he feels, a lot of compassion there, and he thinks that a Picard character, and wherever he's at in the story, may identify with having a dog, and his experience in real life may have wanted to push the direction and the writers into putting the dog in there. Or it could have absolutely nothing to do with the character, and it could have just been a nice tribute photo, because obviously, maybe some of you guys don't know this, but I try to keep up with Patrick Stewart's social media stuff so I can kind of keep tabs on where he's at, which sounds kind of creepy when I say it out loud. But him and his wife just lost one of their dogs, Lenny, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the dog featured in the poster that Picard is standing next to looks almost identical to the dog that, Lenny, that they just lost. I guess it was at a high kill shelter, and it wound up getting pneumonia, and they wind up having to let it go onto the higher planes of existence. And so obviously that happened just a few weeks ago. So is it possible that maybe Patrick Stewart was like, hey, can we do a cool photo with him standing there with a nice looking dog with a tag that says number 1 on it? And they may have been like, yeah, sure, whatever. Maybe he has a dog. Maybe the dog is in the entire series. Maybe the dog is there for 5 seconds and he leaves the dog there to stay at the vineyard. Stay here at the vineyard, boy, I gotta go off and fight some whatever. I don't know. But the reason I say all that stuff is because there was a lot of controversy happening online about Picard getting the dog and there being a dog, period. And that is directly related to the fact that people think that Picard's character wouldn't want a dog and that he would want a fish instead, because that's what he had back on the TNG show, because people aren't allowed to have different pets, I guess, as they get older. But just to look at the criticism fairly and not just dismiss it outright for just being hateful because you hate everything new, Trek, but just to look at the criticism fairly, the idea is that because they're making him have a dog, and it didn't look like he would have wanted a dog from the TNG shows, it makes people feel uncomfortable that they're going to be changing a lot of other things about Picard's character. They've already felt that way because when Patrick Stewart did his initial announcement thing, he said that Picard's going to be a different type of person than you've ever experienced before. A lot of people took that as meaning that we were in an alternate universe. No, that's not the case. But a lot of people are very concerned that Alex Kurtzman and all the writers, Michael Chabon and all those people, are going to be changing the Picard character fundamentally to where we're no longer recognizing who he is anymore. And I understand the concern. I'm not suggesting that those are completely unfounded, but I think I would just like to remind everyone to maintain a cautious optimism. We don't know anything about this show beyond the fact that it has to do with a bunch of ragtag group of people. Picard's no longer in Starfleet, and it's dealing with the destruction of Romulus. And that's really all we know. And that's barely even confirmed. That's barely confirmed through teaser trailers and different news outlets or people doing different interviews. That's barely confirmed as to what we know from this story. So there's still so much going on that we don't really know about yet. So to just start shitting on the show immediately just because you see this dog and it's not what you thought it was going to be like and it's not what you expected, that doesn't mean it's going to be bad. I just want people to just keep an open mind. That's it. Just keep an open mind. You don't have to hate on everything. And if you do hate the show and you want to just hate it immediately, guess what? You don't have to shit on other people for liking it. You can let other people enjoy things or whatever that weird gif was. I don't remember what it was. You guys know what I'm talking about. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the rumor rundown. So there really isn't any rumors to talk about this week, which is surprising, which makes me very nervous because it feels like there's probably something coming down the pipe here soon that it's going to be ridiculous. I'm just waiting. Probably what's going to be happening is just more stuff about Picard shows being delayed. I'm waiting for the Discovery Season 3 video to be coming out that's saying that the production's been delayed and it's been halted and that it's not filming. I'm waiting for that to happen as well. So there's probably a few rumors going to be coming out that we'll have to try to get ahead of as a whole. But as of right now, there's nothing available for us to really talk about, which is good. So everyone just breathe easy. Now let's go ahead and do the comment of the week. This comment of the week comes from user Steven Guchu. I don't know how to pronounce it. And it says, yes, it is Star Trek. It changed format, but that was necessary because old format was overused, and it showed fatigue with Voyager and Enterprise. Those are not bad shows, but in comparison with Deep Space Nine and TNG, they didn't use their full potential, and they played safe, and thus became bland, and with low rewatch value. DS9 was considered also the black sheep of Star Trek. It made polarity among the fans because it looked different, of course, but that show now have high rewatch value because it is unique. I am a fan of Star Trek, and I don't want to see it fail, but I want to see it grow, and as any Star Trek, get proper footing. I look forward to Discovery and Picard and even hope for the fourth Kelvin movie, Live Long and Prosper. So that was in a response to a comment that was on a different video of mine, though somebody said that Discovery was not Star Trek. And this really nice thought out response really just captures, I think, what a lot of us feel, which is that, yeah, it is Star Trek. It's not the same as what we remember. And what they were doing with Voyager and Enterprise, especially Enterprise, was playing it safe. And Enterprise, I love Enterprise. But even I know that they absolutely played it safe in Enterprise. They didn't try to change up the formula at all. They just tried to continue to do the same exact thing. And eventually it just got boring. And yeah, I would say that there was quite a bit of fatigue at that time, along with other issues for Enterprise that they had. And I think that, Stephen, you really just hit it right on the head. So I appreciate your kind words, your well thought out statement there. And I do look forward to Discovery Season 3. I think it's a blank slate. I look forward to Picard. I don't know how anybody can just sit there and watch these teaser trailers or see these posters about Picard and be like, nah, it's gonna suck. I get excited when I see that teaser trailer. I still watch it because it's just exciting to see what they're gonna do and to see this character back, the one that I grew up with and that I love so much. So I'm excited to see that. And I'm cool with another Kelvin movie or any Star Trek movie for that matter. Like, let's make some more Star Trek films. Let's do it. Steven, thank you so much for your kind words. Yes, even the nice ones get thrown. So that wraps up today's video. I hope that you guys and gals enjoyed it. Please let me know what you guys think about the Picard poster and the dog situation down below in the comments. And do you think that all of the TNG cast members are going to be back? And if they all are, which ones do you think are they going to kill? I'm curious to hear what all of you guys and gals think about this, and I will see all of y'all next time. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies!